I mean, that's quite impressive, not just from the impact perspective, but also from sustainability, right? The fact that you're able to have something that is reusable, was made organically, like that's really impressive. So I come to another very interesting question, because I've got two teenage boys, and sometimes I find that they challenge me with their ideas. And so who, in your view, whose ideas would you say is important or matters when it comes to local solutions? Is it the indigenous people? Is it sometimes we have even kids, youths that have gone maybe elsewhere, they're exposed to like global debates, and they can come back and sort of fit that into the local context. So whose idea matters in your view?
It's really a combination of multiple views, right? So you have a viewpoint of the person in its locality without exposure, knows what the problems are, but may not be aware of certain solutions that are out there. And then you have some people who have exposure. They're able to travel out of the country, but they still live in their locality. They have the opportunity to see what's going on in Europe, America, the solutions. They're coming back home to then look and say, okay, how can I innovate? And then you have the people who are, say, Nigerian nationals who have then left the country for work or for settlement or relocation. And then they have ideas of how they left Nigeria going. So it's a combination of different views, right? And this is why the research is important. But what I would say is priority is the actual person in the locality going through what they're going through. Because understanding the problem is the most important. So once you understand the problem, then you can refer the right solution towards it. So I'll give you an example. So we'll have a partnership with a US entity, and it's all about business process outsourcing. So it's a remote work opportunity, right? I had economic meetings with the US government on migration, and obviously a country can only take so much, and then the discussing on how can we manage. And I said, look, Africans really and truly, we don't want to move. We're only moving for the opportunities. If the opportunities are here, the dollar goes further here. I'd rather earn the dollar in Nigeria and then take care of my family, and then I'm also home, than earning it abroad and also paying high taxes there. So, and also on an impact and innovation level, we want people to be in their local environment, but exposed to international best practices or the opportunities. So when they get the ideas and the experience, they localize for their people. So we're using that as an avenue to ensure that local solutions are being born through exposure to international markets. Another thing is I'd like to speak about is the fintech craze. It's one of the most successful sectors in Nigeria. We have about 5 unicorns there, but innovation there is starting to stall. It's flatlining. You have a nation of 30% banked, 70% unbanked, 220 million people, and you have 5 unicorns serving only 30% of the market. And there's still more opportunities for unicorns to emerge of the 30%. But if you look at the speed and success of the likes of MoneyPoint, they were able to tap into the needs of the unbanked, which is how fast can I ensure that, okay, if I've sent money, it is delivered. How do I break that trustless cycle of, and really and truly, for them to do that is beyond technology. It also goes through financial management as well, because they are paying you upfront before the money that has been sent to you actually gets to them. So it's actually beyond technology, and this is why I'm saying innovation goes beyond only technology. They have the technology that does the instant stuff, but the business model around that actually innovative to solve the local problems. So the local problems particular to Nigeria was the amount of time it takes for you to confirm the payment. And then sometimes you confirm the payment and then it actually reverses, So if they could shorten that time, and already they're a unicorn. So this is a clear example of using global technology practices and then tailoring it to local problems.
I absolutely enjoy your use of good examples and real case example applicable, for instance, in Nigeria. But let's examine the whole R&D landscape. For instance, when we look at Nigeria, we've got a lot of, we've got some good universities, we've got some other like research institutions, but how do we better connect the dots between R&D and actual like innovation and products that survives markets, so to speak?
So there's a problem of interoperability in Nigeria and connectivity. A lot of these institutions operate in silos. The data are not shared between even similar agencies or talk less of cross-functional agencies. So you'd see like a university sitting on thousands of good research, but that research isn't going into the corporate market. It's not speaking to the businesses that are there. So there has to be some intentional application of how can we get academic research, how can we link it up to corporate research, how can we link it up to market research as well. And then the combination of all these data sets will then give you clear direction. For example, in this country, there's really no data around LPG consumption, which is the gas you use at home. Because if there was, there would be strategic points for mini gas plants based on demand, right? And even the way gas is being distributed and being paid for would have been automated, because the data will inform you to say, this is where you invest, this is where you put in the big plant, this is where you put in the mini plant, this is how you do your gas filling and all that. So it's all about back to the, data, right? So research and development is integrated. You can't do it in silos. So there has to be some intentionality of merging many data sets together for it to paint the actual picture that Nigeria stands in.
And in your experience, are there specific like best practice you can share in terms of how Nigeria could do this better?
It's really, private sector will, government will. Once they see that there's a market there or there's an opportunity there, we are very, very quick to move. Like I remember when the innovation ecosystem was very, very young. A lot of people didn't understand. But by the time the first unicorn came out, by the time Jumia came out, by the time the other guys moved, NetSwitch moved, then it became apparent to say, okay, let's actually take this seriously. So I think once we're able to put value on R&D, because R&D is a change of mindset. We're very short-term project thinking, not system building. So let me even go back to the typical Nigerian example, where you have a big idea and they're like, okay, let's run a pilot, right? A pilot is a miniature project. The project is supposed to be sustainable. So if you're already running a pilot that is not sustainable, there's no way that pilot can become a system. When you're running a pilot, the pilot should at a certain point be able to run itself. And that's the sustainability angle. So when you're then scaling from pilot to project, it's still the same principles that are carried around, So it's all about long-term thinking. How can I position and not react? So R&D, as a business person, if you have a business, you should be having an R&D department who is looking 10 years in the future, who is taking into account policy changes, technology changes. So by the time the market shifts, you're not wondering, oh, where am I or what am I going to do? You're already positioned for the shift. See? So an example of that would be what we did with the business process outsourcing. This was a discussion that we've been speaking about 3 years ago under a different government. But because it's not political, it's economical. America would always want to boost its own internal market production demand. But we also know that Americans demand one of the highest salaries in the world. So if you're an American SME, it's going to be very difficult for you to compete with Amazon on the same talent, right? But we are here in Africa. We have the young people. We need the opportunities, right? The money goes longer, right? We are here. We are the next workforce of the whole world. It's been done in Philippines, it's been done in India. But this time around, because of AI, it's actually going to be very different, meaning the menial jobs, which is typical call centers and all these things, will be automated using AI. So you'd find out that when you're then doing remote working, you then need to be doing higher capacity jobs. So we're actually coming in at a very, very good time, because if you look at India, they had a remote working boom, but it was very, very low skilled jobs. So it couldn't really boost them out of that poverty line as expected. But for us, we are looking at, paying jobs between $500 to $2,000 a month. And these are professional jobs, legal, marketing, technology, things like that. So building that capacity, very key.